Let me get Facebook and YouTube up, and then we'll get rolling. All right. Had some technical difficulties getting going, but here we are. How we doing? TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. All right. This is Hacknation Live. I'm your host, Aaron Bennett, the owner of Hacknation. Do this every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 Central Time. I'm here to answer whatever questions you guys may have and help you out any way that I can, and just to hang out and get to know people. Testing out our Starlink for the second time, week number 2 on Starlink. Hopefully it works out really well. Last week it was pretty cloudy and stuff, and we suffered minimal lag. So I'm thinking this is the ticket for sure. And I wanted to get tonight out of the way, kind of test the waters one more time, make sure everything's working properly, and then we'll see about getting some more guests on the show. I did talk to some of the guys, the owner of Custom Truck today. Talked to him about coming on. I think he might. He sounds pretty excited about it. This is me poking him with a stick, trying to get him to come on. So him, and probably revisit some of the guys that have already been on. Also, I talked about making a video asking who you guys would like to see on the show, and I think I still will do that. I wanted to get this all worked out, make sure we had a good running system. You know, we had so much terrible internet in the past that it was hard to have a show at all. So I think I'll go ahead and make that video where I ask all you guys who you would like to see on the show. And then I'll reach out to whoever you guys vote in, so to speak. I know how much you all love voting. So anyway, guys, it's Wednesday, obviously. It's hotter than hell here in Texas. If you don't know, we're in San Antonio. One of our ACs burnt out here in the office. There is one running, but one's just not quite cutting it. I have a little fan down here by my legs. Hopefully it's not too loud. I have it on low, hoping it doesn't make a lot of noise. I'm having issues with my speed steed manifold studs backing out no matter what I do. Well, any manifold can have problems backing out. You know, those, especially if the guys before you didn't use anti-seize on them, and you've had to go and pull them out of an old head and put that steed speed on there and put in, you know, and you're running back into holes that didn't get anti-seize the first go around. They can wear out pretty bad, and then they just won't get tight. There's not a whole lot of solution there for you. I mean, hillbilly red Loctite maybe. That's about it. I mean, the cylinder head itself, those holes are probably pretty wore out. It's probably your problem. What's the best advice for a driver wanting to start a one-truck owner operation? The best advice I think I could give anybody is go ahead and do that dream, but stick with the one truck. What you'll find out is you'll grow to 3 or 4 trucks, and you'll make less money than you did with one truck. It looks good on paper, but it never actually pencils out in reality. The other thing I would give advice to a guy trying to go from driver to truck owner is try not to go heavily into debt, and make hay while the sun shines, because trucking, I don't care what niche you have, goes like this. And so you have to make money when the sun shines so you can afford to sit and do nothing when it's really bad. Otherwise, all your money goes into you trucking for free. It is the number one thing that takes down truckers and guys that own trucks. The number to call in, guys, of course, is 573-422-4225. If you want to join us here on the show. Bruce Arnold says, Healy coil that manifold and they won't come loose. The problem with that is you're going to have to go and drill all those holes out, waller them all out, and then helicoil them. It might work, it might not. It might make the problem much worse. You're dealing with pretty extreme temperatures there. It's one of the reasons they have problems in the first place. They make I can't remember what they're called, but we have them here. They're not actually helicoils. They're like a thread sleeve, and those are actually pretty badass. Those work quite a bit better than a helicoil. We use helicoils all the time, but we use helicoils more in the application where, like, valve risers, valve covers, so occasionally an oil pan. But when you get into those more structural bondings, you really need something more robust. Sometimes we've seen helicoils in cylinder, blocks and stuff like that, and that kind of stuff just never holds. We have machines here that we put king sleeves in blocks. And one of my friends that I've actually had on the show here, James Daniels, he made his own homemade one for doing back guards, so he could sleeve pack guards. Actually, I believe what he did was wallered it out and then capped it so it would take a ISX head bolt. He was able to save his block that way. You got to get creative sometimes. That or junk the block, right? The number to call in, guys, is 573-422-4225. If you want to join the show, it's 573-422-4225. A lot of people keep asking me what the number is. Why I keep telling you guys. I'm approaching 685 miles on 685,000 miles on my DD15. When you recommend doing rods and main bearings? That's a question I get a whole heck of a lot. And on this show, I've answered this question many, many times. My answer is always going to be the same for that, guys, because nobody really has any business recommending at X time you should do this thing, right? Because it's just not the way it works. I have engines come in here with 75,000 miles on them, and the rods and mains are completely shot. Engines come in here with 1.5 million miles on them, and the rods and mains are still in decent shape. Right? So it's not really a litmus of, well, I got 600, better than do me. What you should do is you get lifetime concern. What you should be doing is doing oil samples, at least every third oil change. Every oil change, really. They're very inexpensive. Sending out those oil samples, you can use something really simple that comes to your door, and you send it out from your mailbox, and you just get an email telling you what you got going on. In this day and age, you can be doing professional oil samples pretty freaking regular. That's going to tell you way better whether you should do rods and mains than I have 685,000 miles. That really doesn't mean shit. It really doesn't mean anything at all. You know what I mean? So no one has any business telling you that, that's about the mileage that you should be doing, because there's hundreds of counter examples that disprove that. I mean, there's DD15s that make it to 1.3 million all the fucking time, and those guys didn't do rods and mains at 685,000. So there is no magical number. Do oil samples, then you don't have to worry about it. Can you install jet brakes on a motor that doesn't have any? I think what you're asking is, can you install Jake brakes on an engine that doesn't have any? And the answer to that is almost always going to be yes, but sometimes it's much more extensive than others. Your rocker arms really are the deciding factor on how your Jake brakes work. Your Jake brakes only serve the purpose of holding down your exhaust rocker. And if you don't have rockers that are made for Jake brakes, you're looking at a pretty spendy prospect there. I can kind of give you an idea. You could be $2,000 into your valve train, and then an additional close to $3,000 in just Jake brakes and all that kind of crap. You could be $5,000 into giving yourself Jake brakes. But in theory, it is feasible on pretty much any engine. So, Diesel Beast, what's going on, man? Need to talk to you guys about coming on the show soon. Now that we have internet that seems to be decent. Somebody in TikTok says Facebook's cutting out, but I don't know if it is or not. I can't watch myself and be on the show at the same time. And I forgot to forward my calls. I'm still getting people hitting me up on my phone there. God damn. For some reason, that is the wettest dip I've ever had. I get one-piece clutch brake is best, but what brand of two-piece clutch brake is the best? Probably get a lot of crying for this, but I really like the what is this? The brand, the generic brand that you get from Peterbilt from Packard. Why is it slipping my mind? It's their generic brand of everything. I really like that one. The old click together works really well. I have Sex Cummins. Can you use a stainless steel shim? You have Sex Cummins. I hope that was misspelled and you're not getting freaky with your Cummins. Can you use stainless steel shims? I'm going to start taking some calls here, guys. We got quite a few people on hold. The number to call in is 573-422-4225. Let's go back and talk about this having sex with Cummins. And the answer to your question, in all seriousness, is yeah, TRP. Thank you, Charlie. TRP is the brand I'm thinking of. And I actually love their brand. They've even used a lot of their clutches, believe it or not. Now everybody's saying TRP. Yeah, TRP. I really like their clutch brakes, and I always use their shocks. Their adjustable shocks. I personally think their adjustable shock from TRP is the best fucking shock on the market. That's my personal opinion. Fight me. I used to put them on all my trucks. I fucking loved them. Loved them. And that was up there, it's 60 below up in Alaska, getting the shit kicked out of them on a 512-mile piece of shit road. Anyway, back to the guy with the Cummins that he has sex with. On that one, guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've never used a steel shim because I have. It's very, very rare that I would do something like that. The reason I don't agree with using the steel shims is because you have a finite amount of times that you can counterbore any engine. The ISX is actually one of the worst for how many times you can counterbore it. And one of the worst things that you see that can happen to an ISX is on that mid-step counter ledge is what we call fretting. And that's when the counterbore ledge starts to peel away. And you'll see where it's basically flaking off and starting to actually pull away from the wall. And when you use steel shims, and I know Tim at Excalibur, he's a big proponent of the steel shims. The problem with the steel shims, they have no give, and they cause more damage on that counterbore ledge. So you're kicking the can down the road to a guy that's actually going to have a block that he's not going to be able to work with. That's the problem I have with the steel shims. Do they hold up better than a brass shim? I think the answer is probably yes. Steel is tougher than brass, but I also think that that's the problem with them. I think you need to have a brass shim. And we've been using brass shims forever. We had double stack brass shims even. And I don't have engines that are dropping liners in 200,000 miles because we didn't use stainless. But I can go to bed at night knowing that I haven't fractured my counterbore ledge and caused all kinds of fretting. I'm not knocking on guys like Tim that do it that way. I just am against it myself. Anyway, guys, we got lots of callers. So we'll start going to those. Charlie, good to see you in the chat here. Need to talk to you soon too about seeing if you want to come back on. Now that we got some internet that doesn't seem to suck so bad. Had to go get freaking satellite internet just to be able to do a show. Thanks, AT&T. whatever the name of that local company was. Anyway, you're on the air, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey Aaron, I got a turbo question. I've got a 99 glider or 99 TWS and a glider with about 700,000 on it. The only thing I've done to it is full tilt manifold. I've opened the exhaust. It's a single stack up the back. And sweet air filter. And I was looking at the turbos you've got out here now. And obviously this is a waste-gated turbo. I guess my question is, realistically, what if I was to bite the bullet and get one of your non-waste-gated turbos, what am I looking at as far as gains on mile per gallon and performance maybe?
Well, I don't think anyone would argue that a stage 1 turbo isn't a better turbo in all respects than say your stock turbo. And we have a stock turbo. If you saw the video, obviously you did. We also have a stock turbo that is rated up to a 550. And, for all intents and purposes, as much as I want to sell stuff to people, I'd rather not lie to people to do it. So is that stock waste-gated turbo going to give you everything that engine can give you? The answer is pretty much yes. I mean, it's a 36 millimeter, or a 36 AR. It's a badass turbo in its own right. Not necessarily the reman turd that you get from Cat that will only push 28 pounds boost, but you like the Garrett version that we have. That one's going to push 32, maybe even 34 pounds of boost as a stock turbo, right? Do you get more gains out of a stage 1 turbo? The answer is yes, if you have the fuel to push it. And will a 550 push it? Yes, it will. The main added benefits you get from a stage 1 turbo when you're still at stock horsepowers is, you're going to see some more boost, which is going to transfer to a little bit more horsepower, but you're certainly going to see a lot harder jaking. So you're going to get quite a bit more jaking out of it, and you should get a little more horsepower, a little better fuel mileage if you're working that engine hard, right? If you're pulling milk 5 miles down to the dairy and you never go over 35 miles an hour, no, it's probably not going to do you better. You know what I mean? But if you're out working that engine, sure, it's probably going to come into its own and help do quite a bit better.
Well, southwest here, back to the Midwest, down where you guys are and all. Yeah, the jakes going downhill pretty much just make noise. I mean, it'll back boost to like 12, 15 under, like 16, 1700 RPM. So that would be a big plus. That actually got me a quote on one of the ones. My biggest question was that stage 1 is comparable to what I got, because I didn't want to get into something that's going to not benefit me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to buy the wrong thing for that kind of money.
Right. Where you'd run into a problem is if you have like a 475 Cat or something like that, and you were trying to put a stage 1 turbo on it, it's going to have a hard time even spooling it up. But if you're already at, and so you really want more of a stock type turbo, but if you're up there at 550, your engine can push a stage 1 turbo no problem. And you could probably put a stage 2 on it, but you're not going to really get anything for your money. You're probably just going to see higher EGT temps and exhaust temps and all that. You're better off with a stage 1 for sure, but it should do just fine.
Okay, fair enough. Because I mean, this is kind of what you talked about a minute ago, but like, what's an average lifespan on turbo on the C15? I mean, I know there's a lot of variances on that, but I mean, in your past experience, where do you see it go?
Lifespan on a turbo? Man, my honest opinion, it really comes down to the brand. But if you have a brand that is known for longevity, the lifespan is almost unlimited, and I genuinely mean that. And I might get all kinds of people excited for saying that, but take it from a guy that works on engines all the time. I get B models that have the original turbo on them all the time, right? In most turbo failures, damn near 99% of turbo failures, especially if we're just talking about industry standard reliable turbos, 99% of the failures on turbos are an external something. Something went through the turbo almost without exception.
Well, I was kind of talking just like on these stock Caterpillars, and like on this motor just from Caterpillar in a glider, you know, so that's mod power that they got it set up. Like I said, the only mod I did was the full tilt manifold fleet air filter, which was actually could see improvement on both of those add-ons. They were relatively cheap, you know.
I mean, your turbo, I mean, this is gonna maybe sound crazy for a guy that sells turbos, but your turbos kind of don't have a lifespan, you know. You know, your trucks with single turbos, they sketch me out a little bit, because if you do have a failure, you have a high risk of dropping valves and destroying the head, destroying some cylinders, and doing a lot of damage. But again, you know, I can't sit here and tell you that I don't see turbos that go for the length of the engine. In other words, 24, 26, 28 years, guys still running the same turbo that was on there. Most turbos go out from external events. It's just the nature of it, because you got to remember there's not a whole lot going on with the turbo, right? It's not like, you know, it's this engine that has all these wear items on it. It's got a shaft, and it's spinning in that shaft, and it's not really doing a lot of work. I mean, it's doing a lot of work air-wise, but there's not a lot of friction point for a failure to happen on a turbo, and they can just last and last and last.
Well, that's with the turbo you're talking about, that stage one, that's the error, I think you said, but would that kind of help eliminate this? This engine has a bit of a sluggish flow in going, I guess, you know.
Yes.
You know, kind of doggy, but then it goes great.
The stage one turbos that we have are by there are housings with a Borg supercore, and what decides whether they're a 1 or a 2 is the housings. So the core is the same as the 2, and that supercore is a quick spool turbo. It's going to be vastly different than what you have now. When you push the gas, you will have boost. That's how it's designed to work. If you're not getting boost right away, then it's not working right.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. I'll let you get to somebody else there. I appreciate your time, and I'll be getting back to hold Ashley there tomorrow. Looks like.
All right, brother, man. Well, good luck and have a good night. Bye. He called me Mr. Nation. I don't think I'm the whole nation, am I? All right, guys. I know there's quite a few people waiting on hold here. One guy actually dropped out. Sorry about that, buddy. Grady Jones, looks like he didn't want to wait any longer. I'll start getting to you guys. I do want to answer one question. The guy said, I have a C15 Acer, top turbo started to push oil. I'm switching over to a single 78 millimeter 145 housing. I'm bumped up to 600 and have a diesel freak adjustable power harness. Am I safe? Am I in the safe zone? I don't know if you're in the safe zone or not. Not really wanting to answer that part of it. You know, that remains to be seen. What I can tell you is diesel freak stuff is absolute fucking garbage. And I would personally wouldn't warranty an engine that has that on it. Anything by Diesel Freak is absolute trash. It destroys pretty much any engine that I see it on. And like the guys that do all my tuning for me, if they detect Diesel Freak stuff on there, they insist it gets taken off, or they won't even finish the tube. They won't have anything to do with it. That's what I think about Diesel Freak. I'm not saying you're going the wrong route. I just think that the Diesel Freak thing's going to bite you in the ass. All right, you're on the air. What can we do for you, partner?
Sir, got a C13 is down. You know, it's where if you ship engines out. Maybe it's from out in Tennessee. Trash and dump truck, Holler Rock application.
Yeah, we're actually transitioning to that. We have 17 more in-frames to do. When the last one is done, we're not doing any more, and we are switching our whole business model over to just doing engines for sale. Guys will still be able to bring us their engines, but only if they're out of frames. And we have been ramping up we've sold engines for the last 7 years. Right? Ramp that up. I think we've sold 19 engines in the last 28 days. So the answer is obviously yes. What kind of C13 do you have? Is it LEE or a KCB?
C13. LEE.
Okay, I have an LEE ready to go. But you'd have to call me about it, man. It's just my thing. I don't like to talk business. I mean, yeah, I will to an extent. You know, I'll talk about business, but I'm not going to. Best way to get in touch with me, call 737-204-9316. And yeah, I have one I built 2 years ago. And I drove it 1,000 miles to bring it here to Texas and then pulled it out of the truck. And I'll tell you about it tomorrow, but we're letting that thing go for basically nothing. All right. And we would ship it right to you. Yep, if you call a little bit later, the girls don't get rolling it in here until around 10, 11. So if you call around 11 Central Time, you'll probably get somebody and they'll help you out. All right, have a good one, man. Good luck with whatever you do there, okay? Yeah, bye. All right, sorry, TikTok, I didn't keep you guys in the loop on that one. It would have just been a lot of back and forth there. Sorry about that. Will you explain how the wastegate works on a compound turbo system? It works exactly like it does on a single turbo. You just have one turbo wasting the other turbo. Anyway, too many callers. We'll go ahead and grab some of them. Jackson Wood from Destin, Florida is what it says. We'll see. Hello, you're on the air, brother.
Hey, Mr. Aaron, this is Jack. I've got a question about diagnostics. I've got a truck. I guess it's a glider kit. It's got a 12.7 Detroit in it. And I'm currently a company driver, so doesn't have any MC numbers on it. It's just kind of a hobby truck. But I was looking to see what is the best diagnostics tools for looking at the electronics of the truck. If you had any, I know that Canadians do all your diagnostics and stuff like that. But I know that there's some guys that have some laptops. Do you know of any of those off the top of your head? Or
are you asking where you can get your own?
Yes, sir. For sure. Or just those. There are a lot of them out on the market. Some that you have to have subscriptions for. That I'm not really looking for subscriptions. More so, if there's a tool that you can just plug into a truck and do some different diagnostics. The injector cutout, cylinder cutout, things like that.
Well, You said it's a 12.7, so I don't know what all you could have deleted on it, but we'll just gloss over that real quick. Let me kind of answer your question here. I don't actually know. I don't actually know what, like filter through all of the different options out there. Which computer should I buy? Which diagnostic tool should I buy? Because mine are all made for me. Off of, their black market, you know what I mean? And any shop worth their salt, has something similar to what I have, but I have mine built for me. And obviously those are the type of things that you don't share with people, right?
On the deleted, on the truck being deleted, I bought it as a tow-in. I called in a couple weeks ago, and he told me to bar it over, so I barred it over, and it wasn't locked up. I ended up getting it towed to my house, put some batteries on it, and it fired up.
Good.
And it fired up. I've been idling it every weekend when I go home. I took the EGR off, cleaned it up, dropped the DCF so there's nothing that's unplugged. The air filter's unplugged. The coolant's like got a paper clip on it. So I'm looking to kind of plug something into it to see some different things and to diagnose it before I get it on the
Right. And the thing to do there, man, is just to take it and, or call a roadside mechanic or something and pay just a couple $100 to have somebody do that for you, because to get something that can run this kind of software that you're talking about, it's going to cost you a couple $3,000 or $4,000, unless you know somebody that has a good deal on one, right? So you're better off just calling a guy that has one, having him come by and paying him for an hour's worth of his time, $150 an hour, whatever the roadside guy is, and have him just tell you everything you got going on. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, I get the $150 because then once I get out on the road and I don't have that, then I call it, it's a little bit more expensive. I've looked at some laptops that were like,
my friend, I can't answer that because I don't know anything about them all.
I got you, but those types of things, they end up working.
Yeah, there's hang on, there's guys out there that will help you. One guy in the comments says he can help you. A lot of times you can just get your own laptop, and if you know somebody, they can, they'll sell you all of those files that you need. And I'm assuming that's what Charles France is suggesting there. You can look him up on TikTok under Pure Diesel Repair, and he can probably hook you up. Yep, good luck. Good luck, brother. Bye. If that's what you're suggesting doing there, Charlie, maybe I should give you a call. Get a little team viewer action going on. Anyway, we got two more callers here, guys. The number to call in is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. Can you put a 6NZ rear structure on a 1LW? I think the answer to that is yes. I'm almost positive you can put a 6NZ rear structure on a 1LW. Pretty sure. Charlie will tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the answer to that is yes. Is a company driver looking to do some tuning on a company truck? Sounds like it, maybe. That's between him and his employer, though. I don't need to speculate. Yeah, Charlie says yes, you can put a 6NZ on a 1LW. I was pretty sure. It's always nice to have somebody else tell me I'm not stupid. Dan Finney, I see you up in the chat, buddy. Good to see you. All right, let's go ahead and take some calls. And I'm going to try to remember to make a video tomorrow, seeing who all you guys want to have on the show as a guest, who you'd like to see. I've been after the owner of Custom Truck. Him and I talked today. We've talked a couple times. Pretty sure he's going to come on. He wants to make sure with his brothers that they're all good with it. They're all partners. He's a really cool guy. I really enjoy talking to him. I'd really like to have him on the show, but we'll see. We'll see if he comes on or not. Anyway, we have Jacob Caldwell. You're on the show, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, question about breaking big camp Cummins. And I watch your videos a lot. You mentioned, loader heavy, runner 50 miles or so, hard as you can. And I'm wondering about 50 miles after that. I do some hay and gravel hauling over some long distances, and I'll be empty for an hour or 2 hours, 150, 200 miles. Is that going to hurt the motor doing that?
Well, first of all, let's back up just a little bit and make sure we're all on the same page about what I actually say for breaking in an engine. And it's not really loaded up and run it as hard as you can. It's not really what I'm trying to say. The best thing to do is load it up and get it. Well, right, but the way to do that, you get it on an incline or something, and you really want to be a gear lower than the highest you can possibly be, or a half gear. That way you're in control. You're not lugging it down to where you have to drop a gear. You want to be in control. You want to be able to raise the RPMs and lower the RPMs as you see fit. And then use the brake a little bit once you're right there at that happy spot to drag you down as if you were one gear higher. Does that make sense? That way you can let off the brake and let the engine breathe as needed. And really your only goal there is just to get the engine fan to come on by itself. That way you're getting it hot under load. So you're working it, there's boost, and that's the most important thing. And the reason is because that boost pressure goes behind the rings, and the rings are designed specifically for this to happen. That's why you have keystone, you have the step rings and all that. The boost goes behind the rings and pushes them out into the cylinder wall. And that has to be happening. And this doesn't happen at an idle, guys. This is why you destroy the engine just letting it sit there and idle when it's a brand new engine. Idle time, not being an operating temperature, these are the things that kill it. So being unloaded after you've done your break-in, it's not the best thing for it, but what you really need to be watching for is, are you running unloaded miles in the engine's at 165 degrees or something like that, because you're just zipping along, lots of airflow, no load on the engine, and the engine's running really cool. That would be really the only concern. And if that's what's happening to you, there's kind of an easy fix. On the empty miles, throw a piece of cardboard over half of the radiator and make it be hot. Yeah, for those first 10,000 miles, you just need to do your best. All right, you have a good night, man, and good luck. Actually, he had another part of his. I forgot what the other thing he said was. He said breaking it in, and then something else. It was like a two-part question. Anyway, you guys aren't hearing the caller? Are we not hearing the caller, guys? Somebody's saying they're not hearing the caller. Anyway, well, I know you're not hearing the caller. I didn't have him turned up because I fucked up, but all right, let's go ahead and take another caller, and you guys let me know if you can hear him. Let's see. Hello, you're on the air.
Can't pronounce the name, huh?
Well, it looks like a Indian name.
Yep, it's Indian, man. Go by Josh, though. I had a quick question for you, man. Two questions, actually. I sent you a text with a video. I don't know if you can look up the video, but I got an S14, and it's making this noise it's like a noise like that, but it goes up as the RPMs go up. I thought it was the exhaust manifold, so I got the exhaust manifold checked. All the manifolds are good on it. I don't know if you want to answer this off the call later, but I sent you a text about it.
No, I want to answer right now. That's what this show's for.
I'm sorry, was that?
I said I want to answer it right now. That's what this show's for. I really don't want to answer it when I get off of here and go head home to my family. I mean, that's why I'm here, brother.
Dude, I got you, man. I texted you the video so that way you can hear the noise. I don't know if you got it. So it's the N14 Cummins.
Well, my phone is currently hooked up to TikTok Live, so I can't watch it if I wanted to. So, yeah, but if you have a ticking noise going on and you're certain it's not the exhaust or anything like that, it kind of only leaves one or two things, and it's pretty much almost guaranteed that you're dealing with a valve train problem, right? You have push rods, you have rubber boxes, you have camshaft, you have rocker arms. You know, have you inspected all of that stuff, or?
Going in it tomorrow, man. I just bought this thing from auction 2 days ago, so I was gonna go look inside of the valve and see if the valve need adjustments, or that might be the case, or just one of the push rods. But I was just wanted to see what your opinion was, and I think I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched the video, but I'll tell you what. I'll watch the video on the way home, and I'll shoot you a text what I think it is. But from here, you know, you have to do you got to do some diagnostics first, right? You're putting the cart way before the horse. You should make this phone call after you've already opened her up and seen what's going on. The camshaft might be fucked up. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I got you. No, it was a live today. I was like, might as well ask you this question because I had a real question on the call about as a kid. I got an MXF cat as well. It's 475, and I was wondering if I bump it up to 550, is there a huge difference, or should I just leave it at 475? In your opinion?
There's actually a really, really big difference.
There is? Okay. Because I put it on one of the forums, and some people were like, no, there's not much of a difference, but if there is, then I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, so tell them to take theirs down to 475.
Got you, man. That's all I have, man. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Have a good night and good luck. All right, I think I did a little bit better. I'm making sure everybody could hear the caller that time. I'll try to do better in the future. There's nobody left on hold. If you guys want to call in and be a part of the show, the number is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. 7:46. We go till 9. Still have an hour and 15 minutes, so plenty of time to call in, be a part of the show. I don't care if people don't call in, but you know, we'll just stick with the comment section. But this is a call-in show, so anybody's welcome to call and talk about anything they want. And now we don't have any good comments. All the good comments are in the past. What do you guys got going on? How much y'all charge to overhaul my D13 Volvo? Nothing, because we don't do that one. I did see a comment. Somebody asked me if we, what's the deal? We're not going to be doing in-frames anymore. That is the case. We're going to stop doing in-frames completely. And the main reason, guys, is because we fit 9 in-frames in here at a time. And I want you guys just to visualize 9 trucks in one shop, the amount of real estate that is getting taken up by those 9 trucks. You know, we could do 9 trucks. In that same square footage, we could be doing 50 out of frames at one time. In a bay that is the size of one that holds 2 trucks here, we've had like 16 out of frames going on at one time. But the main reason is because we want to focus on building our own engines. It's not really about that real estate. We want that real estate because we want to be bringing in 50, 60 engines at a time, ripping them down. And we want an area of our shop that is just for the dirty side. So we're going to have 2. We already have 2 sides of our shop. But we want to have 2 sides of our shop that are quarantined from each other. So one side is a clean side of the shop. So we have one side of our shop that is painted and cleaned and maintained, cleaned all the time. And the other side is the dirty side of the shop where engines get tore down and parts get cleaned and stuff like that. So that's the real plan. We just want to have this higher quality control going on. And we have an engine dyno. We're getting it built, set up. So we want to be able to take every engine that we build, whether it's one that we're building for sale or one that you bring to us and we build. We want to be able to put it on the dyno. We want to make sure it's an awesome running engine before it ever leaves our shop. And we want to be the name in the industry that guys think of when they think quality. That's our plan. That's what we're doing. Anyway, guys, the number to call in is 573-422-4225. 573-422-4225. We got quite a few callers again. Never takes very long. The radiator guy. I'll just leave that one alone. Do you recommend PDI kit or OEM Cummins? Well, I don't recommend OEM Cummins. Cummins is all reman, and Cummins is really bad about standing behind their stuff. Okay, I would never use OEM Cummins. But that being said, I would also never use a PDI kit either. You pay a lot of money for a PDI kit, and talk about people that don't stand behind their stuff. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. PDI kind of does it like ATL does it, where their idea of warranty is to make you pay for it again, but at a discount. And that discount's really their cost. That's the main story I hear from everybody. Well, they did warranty it, but I had to pay for it. ATL is really good at doing that too. That's not really a warranty. That is them making sure that they didn't have to pay anything. So what kit do you recommend for the X15? One you got from me, of course. Yeah. But in all seriousness, aside from the kit that we have coming out in a couple of weeks, PAI makes really good kits. Interstate McBee makes really good kits. They all make pretty good kits. And PDI might make a good kit too. I don't know if they do or not. It's just them as a company that I wouldn't want to deal with by buying a kit from them. So and that's kind of part of it, guys. If you came to my shop and you said, "Will you build me an engine with an AFA kit?" My answer would be yes. Would you build my engine with a PAI kit? Yeah. Interstate McBee, sure. IPD, why not? I could literally take you guys on a tour right now to our parts room, and you're going to see all these kits in our parts room. I don't have a problem with any of them because working relationships is what I care about. They're all built very well. OEMs, OEM spec. They're all high quality parts. They all have their own little niches, and you guys know that I've went and extensively tested the shit out of all these guys' products. Some guys have better stuff than other guys, but nobody has a corner on the market for I have all the best shit. That was one of the things that I found out in all the testing that we did. We're stretching stuff, we're hardness testing, we're doing all these tests on all these products, trying to come up with our own top of the line kits ourselves. Nobody has the best of everything. They just don't. Like AFA has a really good liner. PAI has really good piston rounds, so on and so forth, right? But the number one overlaying theme that I did find on all the kits is all of them surpass the OEM. All of them were better than OEM. So there you have it. I can sit here and tell you guys that with a straight face because I tested the shit out of it. I had to. I wanted to have a product that's better than everybody else's, and that's pretty hard to do. A lot of these guys make some good shit, man. They really do. So, and OEM was the standard. We started with OEM, did all our tests and measurements and everything on OEM, and then test everybody else's shit against that OEM. And that's how you have to do it, right? And the underlying theme has been OEM kind of surpasses them all. So, OEM, they all surpass OEM. So that should be good enough for anyone, right? But 210 is not warm enough to worry about. That's fact. I don't know who you're referring to there, Nate Bowie, but you are correct. 210 is not hot on a diesel engine. It's actually kind of perfect. The number to call in, guys, people are asking, is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. We're going to go back to the callers. William, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
How's it going, man?
Good.
Hello.
Yeah, hit me with it.
I've got a 2015 389 with an IN in it. The engine's been rebuilt 4 times in the last year. The last time they put a new head on it and seems to have solved the problem of dropping liners. But the last time they rebuilt it, we left the shop and it get 15 miles away and it got a fuel knock. Well, they replaced an injector, but the next day they let the truck idle for, I think he said 8 to 10 hours at below 100 RPMs. And I know you say that idling is just bad, especially on a rebuild. My problem is now when if I pull my oil fill cap while it is running, it does actually shoot some spots of oil out.
It's ruined. They already ruined it.
I thought so.
Here's how you find out. You go take it out and you run it. And when you're having it under load and you go work it really hard, if you're using a shit ton of oil, because that's when you really know, is when that thing's under boost, it will push oil out like crazy when you're going down the road. You won't even really know. But you'll notice that you're consuming a lot of oil. And the ISX is very deceiving for this, though, because the ISX has an oil recovery where it grabs the oil and puts it back into the crankcase. So whatever oil consumption that you see, you can times it by 4 or 5. And that's your actual number compared to one that's aspirating, like a pre-Cummins type oil recovery system, one that just goes straight to the ground type of system.
And I run this truck just about every day. I do oil fill on the directional side. I'm actually in it right now on my way up to Hammond, Oklahoma. The last oil change and I run 10,000 miles. We run Ansel. I think 2.5 gallons of oil is what I had to add in that 10,000 miles. So you said I can time it?
Yeah, pretty much. The engines, the liners are ruined.
Okay.
The
only good thing I can say is
and there's something to be said for anyone that will stand behind their work. And I have a hard time bashing on anyone that will. But they need a new break. They need, right.
I come to find out this last time is they don't even test drive or anything an in-frame or a rebuild that they do. It's just they call the customer and come pick it up.
Well, they need a new business model because it's not working very well. But you know, the most inexpensive thing they can do to cure your problem is what they call a re-ring kit. They put new rings on your piston crowns and just drop new liners in it. And that's like, I don't know, they could probably get that kit for $1,200 to $1,400. And it will come with the head gasket and all that. And then they'll just really have their time into it. And that would be the easiest way to get you back up and going again for the least amount of money.
Right. Okay, sir. I sure appreciate your time.
All right, man. Better luck on this next one. You have a good night. You guys do this to me every time we get going. The show starts out a little slow, and then we start winding into the second hour, and you guys fill up the call line. You guys are just addicted to making me stay here late, but that's okay. We will. We'll take them all. We'll get to the phone lines here in just a second, guys. Hold on. The longest guy that's been on hold is only 9 minutes. You will live. We'll get right to you here in just a second. Luis says, is it beneficial to use the Jakes when going down a steep hill when braking in a new build? That does absolutely nothing for you as far as your break-in goes. It's not benefiting you at all. It's not hurting anything either, but it's not benefiting you to use the Jake brakes. They're kind of inconsequential to the break-in process. They really have nothing to do with it. What you're trying to do when you're breaking in an engine, guys, is your cylinder wall has mountains and valleys, and what you're trying to do is turn that into rolling hills and valleys rather than mountains and valleys. You're knocking off the tops of the peaks, smoothing them down into the valleys. You have to have those valleys for oil, and the oil is what gives a cushion for the rings to ride on. That has to be done as soon as possible, and it only happens under load. In other words, with boost pressure pushing out on the rings, and it has to be hot. And you achieve that by getting the engine hot, going up a hill, preferably with a load. So it's a pretty simple process. Manufacturers, some say 50 miles, some say 200 miles. They all say something different. And the reality is, mileage almost doesn't even play a factor. So, we got to fix the old ticker talk. Fixed. Mileage isn't really a factor, guys. It's more, a good rule of thumb is, have I had my engine fan come on 8 or 10 times while I had it under load? In the shortest amount of time you get that done in, you get that done in 30 miles, you're fucking done, boys. You're done. It has nothing to do with how many miles you put on it. It's how many times you got it hot under load. That's what matters. Anyway, back to the phone lines. Somebody from Canada. New dude booted. You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, my name's Junior, and I got a 2003 Great Banner Columbia, DX4 Detroit, and I would leave it overnight, and I guess the water fuel separator, it would be completely empty, and then the truck would just stall out on fuel. I changed the check valve on the back of the head, but it seems to just still drain itself out at where the water fuel goes. So.
Right. Your check valve on the back of the head is on the other direction. It has nothing to do with your fuel water separator, your primary filter there. The only way that thing can end up out of fuel, my friend, is if you have some kind of compromise in the fuel lines or in the filter housing or something like that. It's getting air.
Okay, how would I go about checking with that?
Well, that's a really hard one, actually. You need to go back and look to see if you have any distribution blocks. You probably have a distribution block back there that goes to both tanks. Both the tanks go so they can go into one line that goes into that filter housing. Your fail points are a lot of times of those distribution blocks, but really you're talking 3 hoses total in one block. You're probably better off just yarding the whole thing out of there and taking her down and just having new ones made. I mean, what could it hurt, right?
Okay, should I change that block or distribution block?
If I was under there taking all that shit off, damn right I would.
And is there a check valve in that water fuel separator?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no.
Okay, and then can those water fuel separator housing, can that like suck air or have a vacuum leak or something like that?
Oh yeah, it's got a couple different O-rings. First of all, it's also, most of them are plastic. I'm assuming yours is plastic. I mean, you're basically asking, can plastic crack? The answer is obviously yes. And the bottom part's aluminum housing. Aluminum housing could, some guys saying that the fuel separator does have a check valve. That might be something to check as well. And a guy in the comment section for Facebook says that it was the check valve in my fuel water separator that was the issue. So it might be something to look at for sure. Here's another thing you can do is you can bypass that fuel. You can bypass. Is that the only filter on your? Is that the only fuel filter on that engine? Okay, so bypass it completely. Get a JIC double N, buy another little length of hose, bypass it completely, see if your problem goes away. If your problem goes away, then you know it's the fuel water separator. That'll save you some time and money.
Yes.
All right, buddy. Good luck. Yep, have a good night. Now, the best parts about this show is the comment section. Really is. Makes me seem way smarter than I am. I love it. All right, I'll go. Some of these comments, I tell you. We'll go back to the phone lines. All right, no name here. Said it's from New York, though. All right, you're on the air. What can we do for you, brother?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Jay. The reason I was calling is I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I want to start off with, I have a 1994 W9 with a 3406B series in there. It's a 4MG model on the 34. When I've noticed, I've changed my fuel filters, my separator and everything, my fuel separator and everything, because I had a lot of black carbon inside of it. Cleaned everything, changed the filters out, cleaned the whole mechanism out, and it's starting to build more particles of this black carbon. I've also noticed there's times that I start the engine up and carbon particles come out the exhaust stacks.
Yeah, those two things are unrelated. Your B models especially are very prone to doing what you're talking about. That's soot coming out of there, just like it would out of your chimney if you had a wood-fired stove or a diesel-fired stove in your house. They're going to build soot. It's just the nature of it. You're going to have soot on pretty much any of your engines. The newer ones obviously have all these systems to clean all that, and it ends up in your air intake and your EGR and all that. But any of your older ones are going to have soot in the exhaust system. That's not something to be concerned about. The soot that you're getting into your fuel system, though, that can really only happen one way, and that is if the dams on your nozzles are compromised and you're getting combustion gas going back up and pushing into your return line. Well, your injectors on the B model are in the pump. So a modern day injector, like let's say 6NZ, the injector on a 6NZ is an injector and the nozzle built into one unit, and we just call them injectors, and they're actually an injector with a nozzle. In your B model, the injectors are in the pump and the nozzle's at the head. So you'd have to be pushing combustion gas up past the dam. There's little dams in the bottom of those nozzles. and they're probably compromised. Is what you got going on. It shouldn't.
Okay, because I've also experienced, like, I drive up upstate New York, mountainside, New York State, and I climb some of these hills. Some of these hills are not that as bad as they may seem, like maybe out west or Midwest. And I'm coming down all the way to about 40 miles an hour, climbing those mountains, and I'm to the point that I'm ready to light a match to the engine.
Well, I mean, you really, there's not much information there that you're sharing with all of us. They made B models that were only 300 and something horsepower, right? You could have a very low horsepower B model, and you're expecting something out of it that you're never going to get out of it.
No, I mean, not necessarily expecting. It's more of like the not understanding certain aspects of that engine. That's more like I don't know really what to expect. There's just certain aspects that I have a guy who he's like he teaches me everything that I do, especially with this B model. And he hasn't been able to explain certain parts, like for instance, like I just went through, I changed all my fuel filters, get to the fuel separator, cleaned all the gunk out. Cleaned out the gunk in the fuel tanks. I went, and I'm starting to get the particles. As far as when I mentioned the carbon coming out of the exhaust stacks, I've never, in any truck I've ever owned, this is the oldest truck I've ever had. So I've never experienced that much carbon shooting out of the exhaust. So, how do I say it?
I've never owned a truck that didn't do that, but I've never owned a truck that was newer than 07, right? I've never owned a truck that didn't blast soot all over me when I first started it up. That's not something to be concerned about, but you most likely have a low horsepower B model, and right, I guess I don't know what you're trying to, what can I do for you other than say you need to figure out if you have a low horsepower B model?
No, I'm not necessarily concerned. I just wanted to know, where you mentioned the dam on the nozzle pilot being compromised, I wanted to know would that affect any engine power? That's kind of where I was.
It's incredibly unlikely. It's incredibly unlikely that is going to. Most likely, what you have is a very low horsepower B model, and there's things to do to cure that as well. But fixing your soot in the fuel problem is not going to make any difference there.
Okay, my last question. I'm having what engine oil would you recommend? Right now, I'm running. When I had got the truck, the previous owner run strictly conventional oil. So I've been sticking to conventional, but conventional is kind of becoming very difficult to get my hands on, especially a decent brand. So my last two oil changes that I've used pretty much an AutoZone brand of conventional oil because there was no conventional oil in my area.
Okay, but what's the question though?
What the question is? What is a good oil for that truck? That's reliable. That would, I'm looking for a decent oil. What would you recommend as far as an oil, an engine oil for that truck? Should I continue with the conventional? Is it okay to switch it off to synthetic? What do you recommend?
Okay, just so you guys know, I can barely hear this gentleman as well. Everyone's saying they can't hear him. I can barely hear him as well. But that's on his end. But long story short, to answer your question the best that I can, synthetic oils are always going to be better than your conventional oils. There's no doubt about it. But an old B model, you're running conventional oil, you should be changing about every 10,000 miles anyway. Kind of really doesn't matter too much which oil that you're running. If you watch our TikToks, I've tested a lot of oils recently, and I can tell you from friction reasons, there's not a lot of difference. I already knew there wasn't a lot of difference. We've tested a lot of oils in Alaska. What's the best kind of oil you can run in that B model? The one that you're willing to change pretty often.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you, and I'll catch you next week.
All right, good luck, brother, and call into Cat with that engine serial number, and they can tell you what horsepower rating that is, and you can have a way better picture of what you got going on. And good luck with it. Bye. When are you making a website to show all your products? Well, the website's already made. Right now they're building SKUs for all of the products so we can put them on, and they're figuring out a way for me to link those SKUs into anything that I make a video about and talk about. So I know it seems like it's taking forever. Of all the people that feels like it's taking forever, obviously I'm going to be one of them, but I've been a lot of the reasons for the delays. Our kits have been done for quite a few weeks. Why haven't we dropped them to the public yet? I'm not happy with them. I just feel like I have one shot to show everybody, put my money where my mouth is about what we're doing here. So we have kits. They've been ready for about 2 weeks, and I'm just loath to let them go yet until they're the way that we want them. So, but as far as our website, the website is going to be linked through Highway and Heavy Parts. It's going to be the Hacknation line. So you can go to Highway and Heavy Parts and find it, or there'll be links directly to it. I'll be linking it in videos forthwith. Hey, AFA Industries joined the live. I wonder if that's Tony. How we doing, Tony? But we'll it'll be really soon. Hopefully Monday or Tuesday we'll go live with the website. So I think it's going to be that soon. I was talking to Rob at Highway and Heavy Parts about it today. You're here to push some buttons. Let's get her done. I have an oil pressure question for you. A couple people are asking what the call-in number is. Tony in the house. The number to call in, guys, is 573-422-4225. 573-422-4225. That's the number to call in. We got 3 people on hold. I'm going to start taking them here in a second. Noah Cook says, Excalibur did a great job balancing that kit out for you. I really hope all the other contents of your kit reflects Tim's quality on the balancing that Timothy did for you. That kit that Timothy balanced for me is going into one of our what we call elite builds. That build is going to have a kit balanced by Tim, but after Tim balanced that kit, I sent the rods and the wrist pins to our micro polisher. We're having those micro polished along with the rocker shafts. The added benefits of micro polishing, guys, is it gets rid of all your ridges, which makes the steel substantially stronger. It also, the main reason I wanted to do it is because it gives it 100% oil shedding properties. So what Excalibur did would be compromised by the fact that all of the rough casting in those rods will retain oil. And as they're going around, that oil is going to throw off the centrifugal balance. So the rods that Timothy did for me are currently being micro polished right now. When I get them back, we should be able to see our face in them. They'll be back here in a couple of days. It's getting stage 3 head, internal intake and exhaust valves coated with micro slick coating on the valves, micro slick on the cam bearings, rod bearings, main bearings, ceramic pistons. It's going to have our own manifold, our very first prototype manifold going on this engine, one of our prototype turbos. Going to have a super core stage 2 coated turbo, a micro polished manifold, ceramic coated turbo. I'm building my most premium engine I've ever built out of that kit that Timothy did for me. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do the quality of Tim's balancing due justice. That's for sure. Flow matched injectors is going to be the cat's meow. Going to be the finest engine I've ever built. I'll be making videos on it as soon as I get back those rods. Anyway, we better get back to the callers here. Won't that negate the balancing? No, micropolymer will not affect the balancing at all. I mean, as far as the fact that he got them to 0.001 grams of each other, which blows my mind that anyone could be that anal, which is a compliment, by the way. I was very impressed with the work that he did. But no, micropolishing will not do anything to the balancing. It's going to enhance it dramatically. All right, man, your callers' names aren't getting picked up by my screener, but that's okay. You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, what's up?
I don't know. You tell me.
Hello? Yeah. 6 series Detroit that I just had to rebuild. And we keep on shaving the bull gear. And keep on messing up the bull gear. Yeah, messing up the bull gear like 3 times. I was wondering what's the content. Hello?
No, I'm listening to you. I'm just thinking here for a minute. So you have a 60 series Detroit that keeps losing the bull gear over and over?
Yeah, keep on messing up the bull gear. And it's only on the crank. The crank side that there's a big one.
Okay, if you keep messing up the bull gear on the same engine over and over, something is obviously out of spec, really bad. Is it the same guys doing the work every time?
Yeah, because the engine's on a warranty, so I keep on messing the same guy.
Okay.
Keep on getting like worse and worse each time the bull gear is messed up. The bull gear at win is like the first week the truck that came off the shop, and then I had to bring it back, and then like I had a month out of it, and it went again. Then I had a week, then just the other day went. I get it back for a day, and then it went for like 2 days, and then stuff.
Well, your guy there is obviously not going. He's not going deep enough. Is it eating up the crank gear too, or are you just losing the bull gear every time?
Well, you know the crank gear too, most of them.
So he's replaced.
I mean, you look like you cut the block too deep. That's what it's called.
Yeah, certainly could. So that could be exactly what's going on. Is if you've shaved the block multiple times, he might need a deck saver on it. I mean, absolutely, that could be what's going on. But he should have been able to figure that out when he's checking the lash on that thing.
It was like he was sounding like he said that's the first time you ever doing stuff like that.
Well, right. I hope it's the first time it's ever happened to him. I hope it's not a common theme with him. I'm sure it's not. I'm kind of poking fun there, but if if the only common denominator you have here is you've shaved the block multiple times, that's exactly what could happen. Is your tolerances, there's no tolerance left.
He was explaining to me like the bull gear and the track gear ain't got no flares, so it's not supposed to be like, there's no measurement on it. It's supposed to be like one thing, I guess. So.
They make a deck saver. They make a deck saver. They make a deck saver that'll get you back up to height. That will fix that problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, good luck, my friend. I see Timothy's actually in the comment section. I better stop talking shit about him. Just kidding, buddy. Man, I saw that build you're doing there, Timothy. Holy cow. It's like a lot of fun. Pretty sharp build. I'm talking about Excalibur there, of course. If you guys don't know. That most recent build he's doing. Peculiar colors there. It's always fun to see guys do different color schemes. And I know Charlie's done a lot of that gunmetal gray. That does look pretty sharp. It's kind of a similar color. It looks like what Timothy's doing. He's got that cherry red going on. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool build there. I haven't done a fun build like that in quite some time. I just keep cranking out yellow and black ones, but it kind of fits my theme, so yeah. But it would be fun to do a cool color again. What is the life expectancy of it? Well, I probably shouldn't get into that. We have too many callers. Sorry, guys, if I'm not answering your questions. In the comment section, there's 6 people on hold, and we're coming up. We're about to be in the bottom of the second hour. So, all right, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
Good evening, Aaron. My name is Randy. I have a 6TS Caterpillar block, an engine that I acquired, a complete engine that I acquired. It was vandalized. It was sugared. The engine ran and locked up. And I've had the engine for some time. And it's probably been setting up, I don't know, 8 or 10 years. And I was thinking about having it built. Do you think a block that's had that happen to it would be worth fooling with, or should I just junk it? I haven't opened it up and looked at anything. I'm assuming the worst, but if there's any damage to the block, I know it's no good. But what would be your take on that?
If somebody puts enough sugar into a diesel system, it can mess it up. But what you're messing up is the fuel system. So you're looking at, replacing injectors and whatnot. So the rest of the engine should still be just fine in theory.
No, it was put in the oil. The sugar was put in the oil. The engine actually was running and locked up. It was running. I know it's a chance it could mess up the crank, but is there anything besides like spinning the bearing inside of the main bearing that would mess up the block where it would render it unusable?
I've never heard of somebody putting sugar in the oil. Boy, you sure have to put a shit ton. But let's just assume that that's the case, and you spun a bearing. If you spin a bearing, if you have a decent machine shop, crank's no good. That brings new meaning to the word sweet crude. Oh God! The comment section is too much. But long story short, man, if you have a decent machine shop, they can shave 10 thousandths off of your caps, make the hole smaller, and reline bore it, and that block's good to go. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Right, I got you. I was just wondering if it would, worth spending money on it, to build it. It's a spare engine for my truck, and I was actually thinking about sending it to you.
Well, sure. Send it to me. I'll buy it from you. What do you want for it?
And I don't know. I need it. I really need it. I need to have it built so I can put it in my truck. And when mine goes down, I've got close to $1 million on mine. It's getting close to being right. So I just wanted something I could swap in and out.
No, I'm with you. I mean, if you want to get a hold of us, we can certainly at least give you a quote on what something like that would look like, but you'd have to give us a call.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted your opinion on if there was anything else in the block that it could affect that would render it useless. You know what I mean?
Not really. Not, get it hot tanked and all that. Everything should be fine.
It should be okay. Yeah, sugar melts anyway, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Thank you for your time, man. I'll let you get on with the rest of your show.
Have a good night, man, and good luck. One gentleman in TikTok asked about the rings that we made. Are they better than OEM? Yeah, they're better than OEM. Here's the thing, guys. When you rebuild an engine, the day that you get done rebuilding it, it's going to have at an idle, not even under load. It's going to have somewhere between 1 and 2 CFM of combustion gas that goes into the crankcase. This is why your oil gets dirty, even though you just, have a brand new overhaul. It's still gonna have dirty oil at 10,000 miles. You still have combustion gas going in the crankcase. That is what makes oil dirty. And that's because that gas goes through the rings and works its way all the way down to the crankcase. What does the gapless ring do? Exactly what it sounds like. It doesn't allow that gas to go down. Well, that gives you better fuel mileage, better horsepower, and cleaner oil. How is that not better than the OEM? And we have them. We've had them for 2 weeks. They're all done. They're all here. I think last show I had a set in here I was showing you guys, but it doesn't look like I left it up here, or I'd show you guys. But anyway, yeah, we got them. We have 80 sets, I think. Something like that. I think we have 80 sets. Don't know if we're going to make them twice. We'll see. The Total Steel guys called me today, but I was too busy to answer the phone. So I'm not sure what they wanted. They probably wanted to know if I wanted to get more. But we'll see. The call-in number, guys, it's a little late. We still have 5 people on hold. I'll give it out anyway, 573-422-4225. Let's go ahead and take some callers here. Again, guys, I'm going to make a video tomorrow. I'll try to remember seeing who you guys would like to see have on as a guest. And I'd like to go back and revisit some of these old guests. And we're hoping to have the owner of Custom Truck on. I talked to him today for the second time. Sounds like he's going to. That should be a lot of fun. Anyway, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, Mr. Hack, how we doing?
Amazing.
Good. Question I had today was about the differences between on-highway and industrial. What the main key differences are there in building an engine and having an engine? Is it possible to convert an on-highway to industrial at all? And what do you think?
Well, the biggest difference between an industrial engine that you guys need to understand is an industrial engine is, for the most part, is built to run at a constant RPM. So let me kind of put this into perspective. I rebuilt an industrial C9, a little tiny C9 inline 6 engine just a little while ago, and the rated horsepower for that C9 engine was 747 horsepower. You cannot take a C15, which is almost twice the size of this engine, and make it push in an on-highway application 747 horsepower. It won't stay together. And that C9 was built to stay together for years and years and years and years, thousands of hours. And that is because an on-highway engine versus an industrial engine, you have a known load, a known RPM, and so you can build the entire engine around X RPM, X amount of load, and revolve all your horsepower and all your timing to be for that known factor. An on-highway engine has to have a power band at all RPMs at all ranges. And so you can't just have a 700 horsepower on-highway engine with this variable load that gets put on it. It will tear it apart. Whereas you can take a C9 and have it put out 700 horsepower because it gets put at 2200 RPMs for its entire life. And so the engineer can build all of the timing and all of the fueling around that known RPM. That's the big difference. You take that C9 and take that C9 and throw it in a truck. In a week, it will be completely trash.
Can't tune it or adjust it or change the configuration on it to work on a C9?
100%. Absolutely you can. But you know, it's going to be changing a lot of shit.
Yeah. Do you have any experience with mining and, you know, industrial machines for forestry or, you know, logging and all that industry?
I would say about a fifth, not quite a quarter, but a fifth of the engines we do here are industrial engines. We do a lot of them. Marine engines, I got marine engines in the shop right now. There's two or three industrial engines in the shop. It could be anything from loaders, water pumps, you name it. So we'll go all the way down to like 5.9s and stuff like that on industrial engines. And we'll go all the way down to I have a 3-cylinder Yanmar in the shop right now. Industrial and marine engines will work on just about any size.
Do you work on Deutz engines at all?
I haven't, no. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't. I just haven't.
Okay, we've got a Deutz out of a large trauma screen, and the motor's new to us, and it was giving us trouble right away. And it's an uncommon motor and very spendy. The parts are all in Germany. But the question I had for you was, have you ever seen any, I guess, radiator cleaners devices made, like a wiper, or I know there's the reverse fan, but even that will eventually take up if that fine material stays on the radiator.
Yeah, I don't know of any. I don't know of anything in particular, but you know, I don't know of any particular device for cleaning a radiator. As far as you know, like people are saying in the comments, use compressed air than power wash. It's pretty. I mean, other than you manually cleaning your radiator, that's really the only option that you have. As far as what engines we work on, we pretty much work on anything. I've never even heard of Deutz, to be honest with you. But you know, we have Alice Chalmers and Deutz. Well, I'm not German, brother. But you know, like in the shop right now, I have a Yanmar, I have an Alice Chalmers. If it's industrial, we'll pretty much work on it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you have yourself a good night then.
All right, brother, you too. Bye. I'm not sure what that one was about, but yeah. Thoughts on a C12? My thoughts on a C12 are, I mean, in what application? C12 is a great engine. Would I want one in a big rig, like a full-size big rig? No, I really, really wouldn't, because it's so underwhelming. It's not very fun owning a C12. There in North Dakota, I had a couple of people I worked on their trucks, they had C12. We've done quite a few C12s. We actually just did one not even 3 weeks ago right here in the shop. C12s are very familiar for us, but I mean, I wouldn't want one bigger. They're just too small. They're too small. It's not a fun life to own a truck with a C12. How do you install the gapless rings? Just like you install any other set of rings. They're really, really simple to install. You just put the ring on like you normally would, and then the gapless portion slides right inside of that. It's super easy. Does straight piping hurt anything? No. Straight piping doesn't hurt anything. Halliburton's got thousands of C12s. Yeah, they probably do, but you know, company drivers is what it is. All right, you're on the air. What can we do for you, brother?
Hey, I got 2 quick questions for you. I was doing the overhead of my truck, and I found that one of the injectors had a spring out of it, or broken on it. So I bought a new one from Cat, put it in, and the truck's got a miss. Took it to Cat to try and get a warranty, but they said it passes the injector test. Do you know if there's any way around that to get that injector warranty?
Well, it doesn't sound like the injector is the problem anymore. But if you had a broken spring, you need to figure out what other underlying condition that you might have. Is the new injector broken?
No. I said that before I took that injector out and replaced it, it ran fine, perfectly fine. It was broken like towards the very bottom of the spring. And then when I put the new injector in, now it has a miss. But to them, it passes their injector test.
Right. So, you know, the fact that you had a broken injector in the first place is a huge sign that you have an underlying problem. You need to be looking at that whole area right there really close. If you haven't had a valve adjustment, you certainly need to get one done right away. You need to be checking that pin and roller and that camshaft right there. And make sure that you don't have an underlying problem or your valve bridge or something like that, you know, or something in that area going on, because broken spring is, you know, signs of something else going on, some kind of stress problem. You know, it's not uncommon. You know, it's not.
There's like 1.6 million miles on it.
I have trucks in here all the time that have that kind of mileage on them, and the springs don't just randomly break, right? And you got to remember, Cat's injectors are all reman, and they're reusing those springs. They're reusing all that shit. So when you bought that reman injector from, it probably had 2 million fucking miles on the spring. So that's really not an indication of anything.
I just figured it had to be something with the injector because it ran fine before I changed it out.
You know, it could be something as simple as the furnace nuts didn't get tightened up enough.
And I checked all that. Well, but it passes their injector test. So that means that injector has to be doing something, right?
Right. So you probably have something totally different going on.
All right. And then I was just going through the mountains this week, and the engine runs really hot when I'm at like 9,000 or elevation or above. But once I come below that, it runs like it normally does. Like,
yeah. Now you're getting somewhere. Have you changed your barometric pressure sensor? I'll start there. Yep. It tells the engine a hell of a lot. If it's not reading, your engine's defaulting to sea level.
Which would probably make sense why it was smoke, because every time I shift, it lets out smoke or whatever out the exhaust pipe, and it was letting out a lot more when I was over that elevation.
And your barometric pressure sensor is pretty famous for not throwing a code if it's bad, because the diaphragm could just be clogged up, and electronically it's still working fine, and it doesn't know it has a problem.
All right, that makes sense. All right, that's all I got. And then you said check that, check the whole, like the rollers, everything like that. Everything looked good. The bridges looked good. Is there anything else of it?
Yeah, oh well, I don't, it can just break, anything can just break. It could be, that's it just broke, Change your barometric pressure sensor. That miss you have might go away as well. All right, man, good luck, brother. Yep, bye. Oh. All right, sorry guys. What's the number again? Well, guys, we're coming. We got 15 minutes left, and there's still 5 people on hold here. I'm gonna try to burn through them real quick. I don't want to be here past the time if I can help it. Pretty tired. You're on the air. What can we do for you?
Hey, Aaron. Good evening. Hope you and the family are doing well. This is Andrew.
Thank you, man. What can we do for you?
Question for you. Well, 2 questions. One's oil pressure related. Brand new motor. That's that blue and white one. Hot idle oil pressure sits, right at 20 psi. Going down the road, it's like 47 to 50-ish.
What engine was it again?
That 60 series Detroit. That's in my blue and white Pete.
Okay. That's not terrible.
Okay.
At hot.
Scan gauge, just to see if it was a gauge-related issue, if it might potentially be just a faulty reading on the gauge, and the scan gauge and the gauge itself are reading right in line with each other.
Yeah, the max I ever see on a 60 series Detroit is 50. Going down the road, and you're at 20 and 40 when it's hot.
Well, it's actually like high 40s. It's like 48. It'll get into the 50s sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's the problem?
The 20 was one question that I was asking you with. The hot idle, it idles at 20.
Yeah. That's not like the greatest I've ever heard, but you're not in critical or causing any problems.
Okay.
Cool.
And the second question is boost related. When when it's going down the road and it's pulling, an incline of some sort, the scan, because I don't have a boost gauge on the truck, so I can't compare anything with that. I will check the scan gauge to that Kenworth that I got, but I get right around 23, 24 pounds of boost, and that should be pretty normal. Yes.
On a 12.7, that sounds a little low, but it doesn't sound terrible. I'm kind of having a brain fart on what ranges a 12.7 should be at. Kind of as my mind's a little scattered right this minute, but it doesn't sound terrible.
Okay. were the two questions. And then ECM related. When we initially rebuilt it, and we couldn't get an ECM for it, but it kept on like a fault ground code. I know it was swapped out with another ECM, and the check engine light went away. I got another ECM. Do I send that to you to get it, to have it retooled, or just have the file uploaded, or anybody else can do that?
Well, first of all, the comment sections are saying 30, 35. Seen other guys say they've seen up to 40 PSI on their 12.7. So it sounds like you're having some issues there. I knew that sounded pretty low, but, you know, I'm pretty loath to just, if I can't remember something, you know, it's hard to remember everything on planet Earth or don't know or something. It's my thing. I don't just talk shit like I know everything. That's why I love this show that we're doing. You know, we got this comment section and all that. But it sounds like you're pretty low on your boost there, bud. And, you know, instead of trying to get it tuned, I think you need to try and figure out why your boost is so low first. You know, are you missing some fins on your turbo? Is your air-to-air not working properly? Are you losing boost?
I'm not trying to get it tuned. I'm trying to keep it tuned that's in it already. I just have a different ECM that doesn't have an internal issue. We're throwing a fault. Check engine light.
Oh yeah, I mean anybody could do that for you. You know, just pull the file off and move it over.
Gotcha. So okay, I'll check the charge air. I'll check for boost leaks, the charge air cooler, just make sure that we're not leaking any. You know, there's no boost leaks anywhere, and then go from there. But I did see, like, 'cause the truck feels sluggish. It doesn't pull as well as you would think it would. You know.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you have a boost problem. You know, that's what it sounds like to me. You know, your air filters could be anything. You need to start somewhere and start working your way forward.
Will do.
All right, brother. Good luck. Yep. Have a good night. Okay, I'm not going to take any more callers. There's still 4 people on hold. If you call now, I will drop your call because I'm a dick like that. All right. You're on the air. What can we do for you?
Yeah, I have a 01 Peterbilt stock MBN cat. First truck I've ever owned. First of all, I want your content, your videos, your way of thinking, not just blowing stuff up. You keep it conservative, useful, safe power. I like the way you think. You mentioned on your new turbos, your stage 1 turbos, lower EGT tips, increasing fuel mileage and performance on that. Changing my NBN, my waste-gated turbo to your stock or to your stage 1 turbo, and possibly a manifold at the same time. Is that still keeping that safe? Is that pushing it too far on everything else being stock? Is there other things I need to do if I want to do something like that? Or what is your recommendation? Keeping around to go in my engine, yet getting the most out of it safely.
First thing, I don't know. Somebody said you said 01 MBN, and I have to agree I don't think the MBN. Okay, so that makes more sense. But anyway, you know how Facebook and YouTube are. They like to nitpick. So, but anyhow, here's the problem I see with that. Okay, is if you just basically to be able to put a non-waste-gated turbo on there on your MBN, you're going to have to flash a different tune on it, which is going to be a 6NZ tune, and it will flash right on there. The problem with that is your 6NZ tune is not calibrated for the camshaft, the injectors, or even the piston crown that's in that engine. That's the problem you're going to run into. To do that, so to do what you're trying to do properly, you need different piston crowns, different camshaft, different injectors, manifold, then turbo. I'm gonna say yes.
Or we're a little bit more performance out of it without destroying my engine.
I mean, you're gonna probably have all kinds of guys tell you different things, but it is my belief that if you have a 550 MBN and you're not willing to change it to a 6NZ, you're stuck with a 550 MBN.
Okay. And that's exactly what I want to hear. What I've seen there, I trust your judgment, your way of thinking there. I do not want to destroy or grenade my engine. I want to drive it. I just do with it. Change the whole engine, change the internals to a 6MZ setup or one of your 640s. I would love to be able to do that, but my checkbook says I can't right now.
Yeah, I mean, guys, a lot of guys call me with MBNs. A lot of guys love them. We've had guys come in here and have us rebuild their MBNs back to the way that they originally were, and they don't have any problem with it. But if I owned an MBN, it would probably magically become a 6NZ. That's my personal opinion. But if it runs good and all that for you, my suggestion would be run it out and then worry about making a 6NZ when it's time to rebuild it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that much to me to spend that extra money now just for the sake of changing it. I'm more interested in getting the life out of it right now, and then when I have to go in, then I would probably be willing to do something to it then, just like you said. So I appreciate the value of your opinion, man. I appreciate your content.
Have a good night, man, and good luck with that thing. Bye. You guys are wondering why I stood up and showed off my shirt. Somebody said they couldn't read my shirt tonight. It's Memento Mori, Memento Mori Amor Fati, and that is Latin, and it means remember that we all die, live accordingly. That's what it means. That's my shirt for tonight. Anyway, not that anybody cared. I care. I always have a shirt on, a different shirt. It's just my thing. Anyway, let's try and get through these callers. You're on the air. What can we do for you?
Yes, sir. I'll make this pretty quick. Can you hear me good?
Yeah. Come on.
I got a 5EK. It's got about 250 on rebuild. And the other day I drove about 6 hours and I lost about 1.5 gallons of oil. Somewhere, I believe it's my front main seal. And I washed it out and drove back home 6 hours and no oil leak anymore. And so I washed it off even more and I drove another 6 hours and still no oil. But the night I was up there, it lost a lot of oil. There was oil everywhere, like all over my belts, AC pump everywhere. Like it was just nasty. It just went away. Like, is there a reason that the front seal would do that?
The only reason that you have something like that happen is crankcase related. Either your breather was plugged for some reason, or you have a blow-by issue, broken rings, or something like that. That's pretty much it. It's crankcase pressure causes that problem. What engine do you have again? Oh, okay. So here's what you need to do to cure this problem. You need to buy a valve cover for like a 1LW or something that goes to the top, or 2WS, or even a 6MZ, and the hose, and move your crankcase breather up to the top. Then they sell a plate that will go where the crankcase breather is on the side of the engine. Take that off, and they sell a plate. Cat sells the plate. It's very inexpensive, and the gasket, and put a plate over that thing, and it'll stop doing this to you.
You know where it was? Somebody told me I was up under the valve cover there, but
It's on your passenger side, right by the fuel filter. It's a big old sword dick sticking out the side of the engine right there. Take it off. They make a cover for it. Put the cover on and put a different valve cover on for a more modern valve cover.
well, Pastor, my hose comes off the top and goes off to the driver's side. It goes all the way down to the bottom.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and make sure you don't have the breather on the side. If you don't have the breather on the side, great. If you have a breather on the side, get rid of it. But if your breather comes off the top, then you probably have a much more serious issue going on. First thing you probably want to do is take that breather and clean it really well and make sure that's not the problem. You know, there's a baffle system in there. It might be gummed up. Clean all that out. And make sure that, but if it's already clean, then you probably have an underlying problem that has to do with broken rings or wore out liners or something, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. And before that, when one of those rubber grommets blew out, my air dryer filter O-ring blew out at the same time. I don't know if they had anything in common, but one of them.
Well, it sounded like you might have a compressor problem. How long, you could have a compressor problem because that's a lot of pressure that you're dealing with there that's blowing everything up, But certainly could be. But it sounds like if you're blowing the damn little barrels out of your block, that's an insane amount of pressure. So you need to figure out what's going on for sure.
All right. Well, that's about all I got. I appreciate your input.
Well, sorry I can't narrow it down for you, but I would certainly get to narrowing it down if I was in your shoes. Have a good night, man, and good luck. Bye. I don't know what it is about this damn chair. My back freaking hurts. Whew. All right. Let's go through. We got two more callers. Let's get them done here. You're on the air. What can we do for you?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I got a question. I got a MX-13 and a 2011 T660 Kenworth, and it's coming up on 1 million miles. I'm just looking for an honest-to-God opinion. Would you rebuild an MX-13 back to where it should be, or would you swap it out with, say, an N14 or a C15? I'm looking for something better than this small motor.
Well, who can? That's a hard question to answer because you never know where anybody's at in life, right? But I wouldn't own a Packard engine in the first place, and one of my really close friends swears by him. He has a fleet of 40 of them, right? And the Packard engine's pretty great because of the reasons you just said. And you just say it has 1.3 million or something like that on it. Right. So there you go. Now listen up, guys that own those red engines that want to bash on Packards. It's coming up on 1 million miles. So Right. If I had to go buy a new truck right now, I would buy a truck with an X15. I would. And I would know in advance that I'd be probably getting into it in 300,000 miles. And I would be okay with that just so I didn't own a PACCAR. But you can't say PACCARs aren't good engines because they go a million fucking miles. And that is the litmus for what is a good engine. End of story. I mean, your 60 series Detroits have held the reputation for one of the best engines ever made for eons, because they're over a million mile engine, and they'll be blown the fuck up, putting 3 gallons of oil on the ground a day, and they're still just chugging away and still getting another 300,000 miles, right? You know, your PACCAR, 20 years from now, the PACCAR is going to be remembered the same way we remember the 12.7 today. I firmly believe that. But I wouldn't want to own a damn 12.7 either, right? I wouldn't want to deal with the lack of power, the lack of jakes, all that kind of crap. I'd much rather own a Cat. Well, I'd much rather own an X15 than I would a PACCAR, right? So, but that's all personal preference. And so that's kind of what I meant by this is a hard question to answer, because nobody can really answer this question for you. It really comes down to what you want to do. The thing about the PACCAR is you're going to pay a shit ton of money to have that thing overhauled. And it doesn't really matter where you go. I mean, we do them for pretty reasonable, but even here, they're the most expensive engine that we do just by the nature of it, right? But it's still vastly more affordable than doing a repower. Guys never understand what they're really getting into when they're doing a repower. And, that repower is going to, you got the price of the engine. So let's just pull a number out of our ass. You're going to have 50,000 into a good engine, right? Well, you're going to be another 14 to 16 just in shit to make that engine work where the old one was. Okay. Now you're still looking at the labor to make that swap. And you're also looking at an incredible amount of downtime versus redoing the engine that you have. So there's a lot of factors in there that a guy's got to flesh out before he just says, oh, I'm going to repower this thing with a Cat. What should I repower it with? I think the last question you need to ask yourself is, what should you repower it with? Because that part is just your personal preference, right? Now you really need to figure out is that part's irrelevant, right? That part's irrelevant to the part I'm telling you that you need to think about. What you decide to pick is super subjective, right? And the part that matters is how much downtime am I going to have? What's this actually going to cost me? The average repower that happens at our shop leaves our shop for somewhere in the mid 70s. It's just the nature of it. And of course, that's a guy buying a new engine from us, right? But still, get a used engine, you're still talking substantially more. And who wants to spend that kind of money and put a used engine in the truck, right? So, the average job leaves our shop for the mid 70s. And from what I've seen, that's pretty reasonable compared to a lot of what I've seen out there, right? Well, you could rebuild that PACCAR a couple times for that.
What I think was a pretty good deal, I bought it for $25,000. It's got an 18-speed, all powder cement. There's a lot of hills here in Oklahoma. It does the job. I just think there's no replacement for displacement. So I was thinking, once it gets to the point where I can't, keep going because it uses oil, I keep the top on it, but I'm just to the point where maybe. It gets to the point where it goes raw to the side of the block.
What kind of truck is it in? What is the truck?
It's a 2011 T660. North.
So here's the other thing that you need to factor in, okay? A 2011 T660 with any engine in it doesn't have the value to make it worth doing what you're talking about, right? Now, let's say that you had a 389P or a W900 and you were talking about doing the same job, the value is so increased that it's worth doing it, right? You're talking about putting so much money into a truck, you could, I mean, and guys have had us do some pretty crazy shit here, right? We've done a repower on a Freightliner Columbia, for fuck's sake. And I thought the guy was batshit crazy, but it's not my place to tell him so. It's the truck he wanted, right? And we took a DD15 out and did whatever we did, right? And he was so fucking happy, and I'm glad that man was happy. But that's what I'm trying to tell you is nobody has any business telling you what to do because value is subjective, right? But value might be subjective, but if you're using your brain, a T660 is probably not the one. You're not going to get
older truck like a 379 or a W9. That's my dream truck. This truck was just a beginning to an end. I'm just starting my business up, and I want something that'll last me.
Well, you've already answered your question. That's not the one. If you're going to do anything with that, overhaul it. And overhaul it before it fucking grenades, and it'll cost you a hell of a lot less money than if you wait until it's fucked up.
Alrighty. Well, I will do that, and if I'm in the area and I decide to have it rebuilt down in Texas, I will definitely bring it to you.
All right, brother, please don't, but I get you. You have a good night and good luck.
Card. You too.
All right, bye. We actually have two MX-13s in the shop right now. We have an in-frame and we have an out-of-frame going on right now. I kind of don't show them off on purpose because I don't want people with Packers calling me asking me if we'll redo their Packard, but we have two Packers in the shop right now. We do them. I don't like it doing them. The good thing about a repower is peace of mind. Yeah, you know, I'm not trying to tell a guy not to do a repower. You guys know we do them, and we might do more than anybody for alignment. We fucking do a lot, and I'm pretty proud of them. We do, you know, we put our nice engines in there, and we do a really good job. And, you know, we're pretty proud of them. They look great. They run great. We've had really good luck. It's quite the process, but man, the guy just has to know what he's getting into. And I don't think I have ever talked someone into doing a repower, because those aren't the guys you want to do it for anyway. You want those guys that won't be talked out of it no matter what you say to them. Those are the guys you want to work with because, man, it's a process. They gotta buckle up. It's a long ride. But we got one last caller. He's been on hold for 19 minutes. He's a champion. Let's go ahead and take him. And I'll try to spend a few minutes with you guys in the comments before I just take off on you. All right, you're on the air, brother. You're our last caller. What can we do for you?
Gentleman in Youngstown, Ohio, his name is Joe, told me I should contact you. I've watched some of your videos. I've got an N14 mechanical, so it's got step timing on it. The guy rebuilt it for my father-in-law. I was not involved, and it scored the liner 6 twice in a row. The first time it made 40 miles. This last time it made 150 miles, and it keeps scoring number 6. We've got 60 pounds of oil pressure on the starter side in the oil galley. We've got 55 pounds of oil pressure on the engine or the piston cooler side. And I'm trying to understand why it keeps scoring number 6. It's got interstate McBean kit in it.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is a 444. Okay. Well, every person that's ever told me they had a mechanical N14 ended up being a 444, so I don't know. You know, it's not a 400 big cam. They're all this. they're all the same. So it doesn't matter.
444. I mean, if that's what it is, it is.
Right.
It just says that it's a mechanical DC motor.
Pretty sure that's a 444, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all the same. You've burnt out the same hole twice. You can really only have one thing going on there if you're burning out the same hole twice, especially in a very, very short amount of time, which it sounds like that's correct. In a very short amount of time, you burnt out a hole. You fix that's not why that's happening. It's totally irrelevant. The temperature, it's a lack of oil. It's not getting oil to that hole. It's a cooling jet problem. The cooling jet is not putting oil into the crown, and the crown's not filling up with oil and pushing out into the ring lands. That's why that's happening. I guarantee that's why that's happening. Why you're not getting oil to that cooling jet? I mean, I'm assuming you guys did new cooling jets on it, new cooling nozzles. It's not making it all the way to number 6 for some reason. Something in the oil rifle right there between 5 and 6. Gotta be, man. I mean, what you're describing can only be explained by no oil to the ring land.
Had the injectors checked, and all the injectors are right, and they're within 1 cc of one another.
Nah, injector. I mean, even if you had an injector tip blowed wide off, you're talking about washing a liner, and you're not describing a wash liner. You're describing a roasted out liner, and that is from lack of oil coming up into the ring land.
Okay. Well, then I will. I'll put a board scope in it tomorrow and get some answers.
All right, brother. Good luck. Call next week. Let us know what you found. I'm super curious. Have a good night. Bye. I'll tell you what, guys. One of the number one things that we see at this shop, that other shops do, and we're victims of it as well. Not anymore, but we have been victims of it in the past. We have a lot of company meetings here, and it's something that I like to bring up pretty much every time. Vent cooling jets. Man, vent cooling jets take out a lot of new builds. It's happened to us enough times that we have meetings about it, but we see it. Guys will come here, oh, I just had this thing overhauled, I'm never going back there again, and we get it apart, and well, it's vent cooling jets. It's something really simple. And it's not that guys just don't take them out. A lot of guys take them out. The problem is they're not stored properly. They get bashed together, and man, they don't got to get bent much. And you'll end up with a scored out liner real fast. Did the guy that was working on the thermostats for the ISX ever get them done? That guy and I are partners, and I will have those. The first batch, I'm funding the whole project. The first batch is going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to get them dolled up and make some videos on them and show you guys how they work and all that. Super awesome. The gentleman that I partnered with on those, really cool guy, really sharp, smart guy, got a patent, just doesn't have a voice and doesn't have the funding. So he partnered with me, and the potential for these things is really awesome. I can't wait to show everybody. Super cool device. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, a guy invented a device for the ISX series of engines from the 870 all the way to the X15, and it replaces your factory thermostat. And what it does is it makes your coolant and oil run within 10 degrees of each other without you having to spend thousands of dollars on something like a PDI dual oil cooler and a couple $1,000 to have it installed. This is really simple to install. And it works incredibly well. I've got to see it work, and they're very affordable compared to PDI's dual oil cooler, which is really the only other thing on the market. I'm not even trying to pick on them right now. It's just that's your option. It's a dual oil cooler for 3,000 or however many thousands it is, and a couple thousand to have it installed. And then we have something to compete with that is vastly more affordable and very easy to install. I can't wait. We'll be releasing it tomorrow, I believe. Worst case, day after tomorrow, I'll be debuting them, making videos about them. They are a machined part. They're not some chintzy piece of shit. We have a machine shop that we commissioned, paid them thousands of dollars to make us a bunch of them. I'm coating them with oil shedding property, micro slick, and I already have the boxes and packing for them because we expect them to sell out very fast. So, hey, yeah, you do pay attention. I appreciate you bringing it up. Give me a chance to tell people about it. But anyway, guys, I think we had a good show tonight again. I'll try to remember. I do check my comment sections quite a bit. If you guys maybe comment tomorrow on some of my videos, remind me to let's make a video seeing who you guys would like to have on the show as a guest. And I'll reach out to whoever that is and see if we can get them on here. I want to start having guests again now that I've fixed the internet to an acceptable level at least. Maybe go back and revisit some of these guys that were already on, that had to have shows with me with shitty internet. Give them a chance to do some more shows with us. Having guests on, though, I'd like to do a little bit more of that. Your brother has a 2379 with a 13-speed and 2WS. Nice. Jesse, guys, should jump on that. But anyway, it looks like Troy jumped up in the feed there. Troy, if you're still on there, how you doing, buddy? Long time. Troy Massey, great guy. If you guys don't follow him, go check him out on TikTok. He works the oil field pretty hard up there in Pennsylvania, I think it is. That's where he's out of. I think he's mainly in the gas sector, but same stuff. So $50K for a 2379. I mean, it might be worth it. You have to check it out and make sure it's not clapped out. If it's not, then it's probably worth it. Adept Ape. I don't know who Adept Ape is, but I've heard the name Adept Ape. Maybe he might be a good guess. Anyway, guys, you guys have a good night. I probably better get it wrapped up. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you to all the commenters. Thank you to all the people watching, followers or not. This has been Aaron Bennett with Hacknation. This is Hacknation Live. We do this every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 or whenever we feel like leaving Central Time. It's an avenue for everyone to come together and help each other out. I try to just host it and be the median for people to interact with each other. And it seems to be working out pretty good. I appreciate everybody that's helped out in the comments and everybody that hung out. It always makes it for a good show. I'll see you guys next week. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, TikTok guys, for hanging out. I'm glad I was able to get the caller interaction figured out with TikTok. Certainly keeps a bigger audience over there than it used to before we could interface the caller. It takes a lot of work on my end, but it's certainly worth it. So again, looks like our Starlink held up really well. So we'll get back to having some guests. Again, I'll try to make a video tomorrow and see what you guys have for suggestions for guests on the show. A lot of people in the comments are saying Adept Ape. Maybe I'll reach out to him. I'm not even sure who that is, but I can learn and figure it out. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Love you long time. Remember, we all die, so live accordingly.